Anna's former colleagues. Well, thank you. So, where are we right now?
We're at Coupa Cafe in Palo Alto.
This is where you would meet Elizabeth.
This is where we met Elizabeth.
This is where you met Elizabeth. But for people outside of Silicon Valley, this is a place where tech people would come and chat about big ideas.
Yeah, they still do. Yeah.
They still do.
Yeah.
I think there's a reputation with this place that, like, things happen here, deals happen here, conversations happen, so it fits, like, a narrative, right? It's like, fits into that story.
Somewhere over there's a $40 million check being cut. No, I'm just kidding. Anna's old Apple colleagues, Justin Maxwell and Adam Vollmer, soon came on board along with Mike Bowerly, whose wife had worked at Apple with both of them. So would you call yourselves buddies? Work buddies?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally, for sure.
Mike and Justin worked on Anna's team, designing the Edison and other product software. So, Justin, starting with you, what made you take the offer?
Anna and others involved in my recruiting, having hyped it up so much, I had just gone in there with this expectation that I was meeting brilliance. And so that thinking that I was meeting the next Steve Jobs, next Zuckerberg, something like that, that just created this impression of I was in awe of this person's drive. So for me, this was something that could make a positive dent on humanity.
Adam was an engineer.
Generally, I was like, yeah, this is somebody I want to come work for. We wanted to see her become that billion-dollar leader. Like, everybody wants to work for the next Steve Jobs.
It wasn't long before they started to see they were designing something in the Apple style for technology that really didn't exist.
Like, there was an overall feeling of, like, we have absolutely no need for Apple designers here. That didn't make sense at first, but then as we started to learn from people saying the tech doesn't work or the science isn't matching up, but then we understood, oh, right, that's why you don't want us here. It's not because you don't like us as people. It's that, like, we actually can't provide value to this company right now if the foundation isn't working.
On top of that, they say Elizabeth arranged things so that everyone was purposely siloed. They were sworn to secrecy to protect what Elizabeth felt were trade secrets. But it was like the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing.
Yeah, it was beyond micromanaging. It was like actively kind of trying to foster this competition, or I don't know how.
It was a complete distrust for the organization that she'd built under her.
But despite this chaos, she even managed to poach Avi Tevanian from Apple. He was Steve Jobs' right hand at the company. He led the software team that developed Mac OS X. Avi's even in the Steve Jobs movie.
It's like this. Avi Tevanian is our chief software designer, and he wrote a demo program. It's like we built a great car, we haven't built the engine. We put a golf cart battery in there to make it go for a little bit.
Avi joined the board in 2006, but quickly got frustrated with what he was seeing.
I think what she didn't expect was that I would actually ask a lot of questions, and that if things weren't going as they should be going, that I would ask tough questions.
How would she respond when you would ask tough questions?
You know, she was really good at, I would say, deflecting them. So it was generally probably, I would say, more of a non-answer or an evasive answer, which is, we don't have the contract right now, maybe I can get that for you later, things like that.
He wasn't the only one confused by the company. It seemed like employees were being hired and fired really quickly. Here's Justin.
Elizabeth did do a great job of recruiting amazing people. I would watch those people that I trusted disappear. Our office was right next to the general counsel and the head of business development, both of whom were people I just had tremendous admiration for. They were extremely sharp and knew the industry very well, and they just vanished.
And then I think like 2 weeks after I started, the CFO was just like promptly fired or just disappeared, right? And that was disconcerting.
Anna, then Theranos' chief design architect, noticed the same thing.
She did not want to hear other people's opinions. She wanted positive results. I think that, anyone who basically told Elizabeth no and disagreed with her perspective and point of view, you were immediately terminated. It was just a very unusual environment. There were posts to Glassdoor's website from employees where they equated it to a South American dictatorship or a drug cartel.
How would you describe the culture of Theranos? Justin?
First, watching people that I really trusted vanish, and then actually noticing that this person is willing to lie to me about extremely trivial, unimportant things.
And how do you know she lied?
Because we were discussing some product design over email, and she was expecting me to stay in the office late to finish it up. And she said something to the effect of, I can't help with that right now, but I will get back to you when I'm in the office tomorrow. And she was actually just in an office right down the hall from me, and
You could see her sending you that email.
And so I walked over to her and had a bit of an argument with her, and then walked back to my office, and she stormed after me and came in and shut the door behind me and said, "Don't ever walk off on me again."
But did she acknowledge that she had lied to you?
Of course not.
And things went beyond what employees say was casual lying. Just as Elizabeth had convinced the Apple recruits to come aboard to design a product for technology that didn't yet exist, she was trying to sell a product to Big Pharma that wasn't ready. One incident was particularly troubling to Anna. Elizabeth had convinced a major drug company to let Theranos test its technology on terminal cancer patients in a study in Tennessee. Really vulnerable people. This made Anna really nervous.
There were patients who were third and fourth stage oncology cancer patients at the University of Tennessee that had given up their blood to test this device. We had gotten word from Adam Vollmer, who was our mechanical engineer working on the internal mechanism for the Edison device, that light was seeping in, and with light seeping in, it corrupted the blood telemetry data, thus corrupting the data. It was a very unfortunate situation.
And as it turned out, we had all this very sensitive chemistry that dozens of people were working on, and it could be as precise as you wanted, but if you screwed up the introduction of the blood into this cartridge, it was like game over. You would get a wildly wrong result, right? But I think we all knew from where we sat that, it seemed like we were a very long way away from having a working product. Our going into the study felt utterly premature relative to where we were at. They just weren't, we weren't generating reliable, reproducible data.
These employees didn't know the test results wouldn't impact the actual treatments given to these cancer patients and would just be for research purposes. Elizabeth kept that detail from most Theranos employees. Regardless, they hated making such vulnerable people guinea pigs. Did you raise a red flag? Did you internally say, I think this is a problem?
That sort of feedback just went, generally ignored. After enough cycles of that, it just felt like there were people like myself and others who disagreed with a lot of these decisions, and that just was being overlooked again and again.
Anna confronted Elizabeth too.
That information was suppressed, and so I said, I'm going to take this to Elizabeth directly and have a conversation with her, of which I did. And she basically conveyed to me that I should not intervene, that this is an incredibly critical juncture in the company's current fundraising. And I was like, that's unacceptable from an ethical perspective. I just cannot stomach it. And I confronted her with this information, and she gave me an ultimatum. Suppress it and continue on as business as usual. Or I said I was resigning, and I decided to resign. And I slipped my resignation letter underneath her door and under the head of HR's door, and I left for home. She inevitably found out that I had resigned, and she frantically tried calling me. I would not take her phone calls. I just literally had nothing I wanted to do with that company anymore.
Anna's departure left her former recruits stunned.
Anna just said, Elizabeth is lying. She told everyone the tech in this situation worked, and it didn't work at all. And I'm going to go be a full-time chef for my family.
Sounds like a pretty big 180.
Yeah.
But soon they'd be out the door too. Justin sent Elizabeth 2 management books and a pretty epic letter of resignation. Do you mind reading, starting on that second paragraph?
Hi, I'm resigning. Good luck, and please do read those books, watch The Office, and believe in the people who disagree with you. I wish I could say better things, but I think you know exactly what is going on at Theranos. Lying is a disgusting habit, and it flows through the conversations here like it's our own currency. but I really truly believe you know it already, and for some reason I can't figure out, you allow it to continue. I feel like I owe you this bad attempt at an exit interview since we have no HR to officially record it. Justin Maxwell.
Years later, Justin would see her just one more time.
Yeah, there was this point in, I think, 2000...